Hello and welcome to the Shootout as we look at all things Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield, and we are really starting to fire into the business end of the season. And Tom Coolican, the matchups right across the park last round were great. This weekend's matchups are terrific too. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Look, obviously some great fixtures on the weekend, and for me, it wasn't just about the Super Rugby players coming back in the Big Four sides, but also seeing the likes of Caden Neville for Manly and Pete Summer going toe-to-toe out at Congo Nova for West Harbour. Wasn't that a doozy?
The matchups continue, and our match of the round this weekend is Eastwood hosting Gordon. And on this week's show, Dave Telfer will join us, the Gordon coach, and also Matt Gonzalez, fresh off a hat-trick for Eastwood and the Paris Olympics. So we're really looking forward to that. But as always, you can like and subscribe. We can confirm we'll be chatting with Phil Waugh next weekend as well, of Sydney University fame. So if you've got any questions you'd like us to ask Phil, you can put those in the comments as well. But coolo, round 11 of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield, the match of the round, Eastern Suburbs versus Randwick. East's at home, 47, Randwick 7.
Look, I think unfortunately the scoreline flatters Randwick, if anything. They were really disappointing. Set piece particularly. I would have expected a line out, with the calibre of this side to function far more effectively than that. 3 Super Rugby players in their side, particularly Anita Fanau at hooker. You would have expected a lot more. I think, Randwick, were down 40-0 on stage. It took them 63 minutes to score a single point. That's really unexpected and surprising. I think on the stroke of half-time, they had a chance to score, and they had a tight-head scrum with, 2 Super Rugby players in their front row. You wouldn't have expected that at all. That would have been at 19-7 at half-time, not to be. East counted the gates the second half, just swinging. Harris crashing over, Dawkins and Cobb. And then I think as well, following half-time, you thought there might have been an adjustment there a little bit from the Randwick side. It wasn't to be. I thought, a few positives, and then I thought Turanui was brilliant. But Nice Sarani, I thought Gage Phillips as well really stepped up. And we know the Colts program at Randwick is so strong. It was such a contrast. You saw over at Eastern Suburbs, a whitewash four games for East, and over at Latham Park, the Colts side won 3-0. But look, I think Randwick are in that rebuilding phase at the moment. They're working on their fundamentals. But I think we all thought and expect a lot more of their Super Rugby players. Tristan Riley, Isaac Kalia, Anita Fanau. I thought Barrett was good off the bench. But I just didn't think they had the spark that you would have wanted from their side. The Bowen and the Wilson connection, they keep on going. They keep on driving, week in, week out. They're getting better. And then as well, Adamson, in the back row, and Harris as well. They were absolutely brilliant. I also thought as well, the second rower off the bench, he started, Tom Girl, he was brilliant. That's his first game in first grade. He was outstanding. East, they keep going from strength to strength. The depth chart is off, the next level. They're going to be hard to stop this season.
Gordon 40, Western Sydney 2 Blues 29. It was a dominant start from the 2 Blues. Matteelli dropped a sitter on the wing, but made up for it a couple of minutes later. Set up Liam Lord for the first try within 5 minutes. And Tetamaki's really lifted, looks ready to rip games apart now. And Dolakoto scored their second within 15 minutes. And they look good. Sue wasn't overplaying his hand, and Rod Yona's absence almost forced everyone to just do that little bit more. Phenomenal run from Melly Sifa. You will not see much better. And Matteelli showed his class to score, and the 2 Blues were up 19-0 after 22 minutes. Gordon had made a few errors, but the 2 Blues had as well, and they were just chancing their arm and executing, forcing the game their way. Gordon's first came in the 28th through Hardy and then Hickey. Basson was working so hard, was great at 7. They worked their way back into it well. It was a great battle back and forth. Ollie Arcus showed how he's just gone to another level, his incredible strength and speed. Scored his 12th try of the season, helped make it 28-24. And the next try was outrageous, basically the sealer. Basson doing everything, including kicking and chasing, numbers at the breakdown, a relentless pursuit of points, and then Arcus elite with his finishing, scoring his 13th try of the season. So Gordon, too good, always ready to attack from anywhere. Mobile forwards, too much firepower. A good win again, the 2 Blues right there in the fight as usual. Coolo Norths, 41, Sydney Uni 30.
This was the really surprising result of the round, I thought. For Uni, it feels like it's kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back at times. I think they got their balance wrong from the outset for the selection perspective. 4 changes in the forward pack, 2 in the back line. 6 changes versus North's having absolutely none. When you're trying to thrive for cohesion and connection, to make that many changes, I think that probably the coaches got this wrong. And you've got that, obviously, that collision course between Waratahs players trying to play. Waratahs selectors want them to play. But you also have, that Shute shield connection and cohesion that's really, really important. North came out of the game really focused. Their lineup historically has really struggled. That's the best we've seen James Markham throw. I thought Hooper as well ran a great line out. North looked really, really focused. I thought Tungi Fumaono was absolutely brilliant for Northern Suburbs. He had a part in every single one of their tries, scoring one himself. He was so physical, abrasive, channeling a bit of Sonny Bill Williams there. Look, Uni then responded. A good try to Tom Lambourne. George Pullman then crashed over following a nice set-piece play. Then Talatiano with a good carry. McGregor with a nice pass. Looked like Uni won a roll. But then North countered immediately and their defence dug in. They really just hammered Uni there. University, 3 5-metre lineouts, not connecting once. And that's the change. You've got Flaufinger, the Wallaby, coming back. Hasn't played a lot of rugby this year. You brought out Declan Moore. And that really came back to haunt, University in the second half. 17-17 at half time. Then Smith crashed over, Seamus Smith, against the run of play. And you could see the University coaches kind of panicking a little bit. They flooded the side with fresh legs. Combinations came on, Mangelsdorf, Moore and Schmood. But it was too little too late, and North's defence was too good. But for me, the turning point for there was 64th minute. Max Bury just takes the bull by the horns and just runs straight over Ollie Schmood, crashes over. Wilcox added insult to injury. He's coming to his own. Brilliant try by him. Consolation try by Schmood at the end of the game. I love a little bit of play as well from Whakawhanua, who comes into the centres this week as well, which is a welcome change. Look, University 31 to North's 40. Disappointing for the students, but a massive win for Northern Suburbs. Keep an eye on their confidence going into a game at home against the Ringa Rats. We know they have form against beating the Rats at home.
Love this. It's really starting to fire up, isn't it? Southern Districts 28, Eastwood 38. Eastwood just got too much of a roll on early and Souths were chasing the game. Gonzalez scored the first try, 7-0 after 10. It opened up a little bit after that, but it was 14-0 after Opatea scored under the post. Dylan Nelson made it 19-0, one of our favourites this year in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield, and it was, Lockie Shelley was into it. So after 30 minutes, 19-0, then 26-0 after Gonzalez kicked really nicely from halfway behind South's defence. Shelley charged onto it. Gonzalez got the offload and scored. South scored first after halftime, sustained pressure and control. Jonty Ravenhill got the try from a pick and go. Tuinaka Vundra was great, as he has been all season long. He was really, really strong. South's got good physicality off the bench as well. They fought hard, refused to let Eastwood run away with it, but Gonzalez's third put it to bed in the 69th minute. It was 33-14 with 11 to play. Tom Goddard, great off the bench, lovely 1-2 punch at 9 Eastwood has built. Souths will have their day, though. They've done some great things. The bench did really well. So there is great spirit, great fight in that Souths lineup, but another tough day as far as the scoreboard goes. West Harbour, 31, Coolo Manly, 35.
I mean, how good is it having 2 Wallaby players turn back up for 2 sides out of the top 6 and having an impact? Caden Neville was everywhere, as was Pete Samu. Dickens crashed over early. Camel moments later, off a lovely pass from Pete Samu. They loaded up in defence and, great little decoy play, getting the ball away. Pete Samu then crashed over as well, courtesy of a great little big carry there from Kulumatangi. He's an absolute beast. Manly then levelled the score on the stroke of half-time, making it 14-14 in Oranges. This was a really big physical bruising encounter. You could see, Manly, they were scrappy at times. We actually got to see their bench there in full flight, scoring points here in the second half, which you haven't seen from them this season. Chapman crashed over. Alcock then from West, both off, line-out set pieces. Then the 55th minute, big Caden Neville, channeling Mr. Larson from Happy Gilmore, crashing over, thundering over if one would. He was absolutely brilliant, I thought, like 30 metres out, just crashing over. He was pumped, the big man. That was the best part about it. 68th minute, Matty Whelan crashed over as well against the run of play. We've seen him do that all season. He scored against Eastwood a couple of times, doing the same thing. Individual brilliance. That was really, really impressive. Then Manly then countered and scored sort of in the 78th minute. West Harbour, they had the last laugh, or not the last laugh, but you thought West Harbour had the last chance to have a look at this one. And then step in Caden Neville, Justin Harrison, kind of British Lions play, turnover at the lineup, making a massive play in the 79th minute, which denied West Harbour an opportunity at winning that one. But the best part, the most important part, at the end of the game, Pete Summer, Caden Neville, both playing 80 minutes in the Shute Shield for, a 10v11 fixture, which I think is absolutely brilliant and a great sign of commitment and respect from those guys, at this level. Talking to Coach Harry Feely, I described it as a gutsy win. He said it was a scrappy win, but it's a win nevertheless for Manly as they play against University next week.
Yeah, they were both great, weren't they? Warringah 33, Hunter Wildfires 28. Classic Hunter Wildfires refused to go away. Warringah found a way to win. It was Lockie Ward Memorial Round at Rat Park and end-to-end stuff early. Rat scored after a minute. Reimer wins a turnover. Slick backline work. Riley Whitfield, terrific. LeBron Nair, very strong. Whitfield now with the Oz under-20s. He's been really good in his short appearances in the Blue Crown Capital Shute Shield. Logan Love made it a try apiece. Moses Jones was good. Josh Barr in support. Love also. It was 19-14 at half-time. The Wildfires against the run of play to open the scoring in the second half. Jones great. Varhai continued to be superb. Cullen Gray impressive, and Love again always there in support. And Warringah were chasing the game. Phil Taylor-Laver scored off a well-executed tap play, helped make it 28-19 with 19 to go. Wes Thomas is in the sin bin. Rats repeat infringements. But Woollett, they just sliced Hunter open. McKill scores. Woollett converts 26-28 with 15 to play. Reimer is awesome everywhere he goes. Fuhiniu does everything right. Tucker scored. Woollett converts. It's 33-28. Thomas back on. They've got 2 converted tries on the board while he was in the bin. Hunter kept searching. They are a good side with heaps of spirit themselves, but Rats aren't short of that either. And if you fancy it, you can watch Ben Maher at full time, the 83rd minute, just how much it means to him and how he fires this side up and leads them. Interesting month ahead for Warringah. Changes in the lineups, players going out, players coming in, development, depth, cohesion, etc. It's a real watch, but it's exciting. The competition is really lifting a gear. So many great players. You touched on plenty, Kulo. So many great things the clubs are doing too. Eastwood, who are about to host the match of the round, they've got Back to Eastwood Day. Juniors wear their jerseys. Parents come in free. But let's get to our match of the round and our first guest. Our match of the round in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield this weekend is Eastwood hosting Gordon. It is 4th versus 3rd on the ladder, and one of the stars of the Eastwood side, not just this season, but for more than a decade now, is Matt Gonzalez. Matt, thank you for your time. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, guys. How are you guys?
Really, really well, thank you. Congrats on your success of late, the hat-trick in the past round, but also your success away from Eastwood in the past few years, which we'll touch on in a sec. But how nice has it been playing with Eastwood again and the form that you guys are in?
Mate, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving coming back to Shute Shield and back to club footy. Last year, played second grade, won the second grade grand final. It was that was probably my most enjoyable year as a club. And then this year is just another level above that. I couldn't be more happy to be back here and be back with these boys. So it's absolutely unreal.
It seems like there's a genuine spirit within this side, and it stems from doing the hard stuff well. We've spoken to Jai Legg previously.
Yeah.
The Goddards are rolling along really nicely, and the back line is exciting too. How would you define this Eastwood side?
I think there's a bit of grit about us. Hook, we had a pretty tough pre-season. Hook put us through a few tough sessions, more than a few, but he's just he's very good at instilling belief in us and telling us to be confident and go out there and play our brand of footy and be excited to go out to play footy, which is, it's a real privilege to be able to run out on a field no matter what stage you're on. So he instills that confidence, that belief, and I think the boys have just really gotten around it. It's about, Eastwood we've never been glamorous, never been flashy or anything like that. And I think we're kind of just delving into that a little bit, a bit of grit in us and just working hard for those 15 boys and then the other 8 that come off from the bench.
Yeah, you touch upon, the roots and that identity of the Eastwood jersey. I remember playing against you in 2015. You guys ended up beating Manly 15-12 in the final at Concord Oval. I look at some of the names, Jared Barry, Hugh Perrett, Joey Afualu, I think the only one who's of this list still playing other than yourself is the Hong Kong hero, Tommy Hill.
Yes.
Good on you, still having a run around. How does it feel to be teaching these young bucks how it's all about?
Yeah, it's good. You're making me feel old, mate. When the 2015 grand final gets brought up, it got brought up not too long ago, and everyone's looked at me like, "Whoa, you played then?" I was like, "Man, yeah, I did." It makes me feel old, but no, look, I'm very. I just get around the boys. I want to be part of this culture, part of this group, and it's a really good bunch of boys, and they don't make me feel old, which is the best part about it. There's a bit of banter here and there thrown around, but the best part about it is also being able to watch the young boys. Like a few of the boys played second grade last year, like Xavier, now playing first grade regularly and playing his best footy I've seen him play for the last 2 years. So it's awesome to see these guys develop. And you know that they're going to go far, whether they stay at Eastwood or go elsewhere.
You're right. Xavier Gigai's been one of the best players for the Woods this year. You're an Olympian yourself. You've spent time with the Sevens program. You know a thing or two about a hard preseason. Tell us a little bit about Anthony Griffin's preseason and what it entailed.
A lot of contact, a lot of up downs, getting off the deck. It was, the fitness and things like that were all very. This is very rugby league. So
I've got Coach Carter vibes.
Yeah, it was. We had this, mate. We had this hill that everyone had to run, no matter first grade, second grade, third grade, Colts, however long you had been at the club, and you had to run this hill, and it was 5 laps. I think it ended up being, it was like 2Ks or something like that. And this hill was. This is
Band of Brothers vibes. This is not Coach Carter. This is Band of Brothers.
Criminal. Doing this hill, it was like 25 minutes, and then we came back to training. So it was a group of us that hadn't done it yet, came back to training and had to join the other boys that had already done the hill and jump straight back into training. That was one of the tougher ones. And I reckon the week, I was cooked. My legs were cooked for the week. It did me.
We've loved watching some of these players emerge. I mentioned we spoke to Jai Legg earlier in the season. There's been a lot of love for Will Goddard scrummaging and the forward pack. But what about these Goddards? Because it's a great 1-2 punch you have at the moment with his brother from a 9 perspective. You've been starting, he's been coming off the bench. But tell us about his brother and his love for scrums, because we've heard about that, and also the relationship you're building with Tom.
It's good timing of this. We actually, there's a few of us walked into one of the forwards meeting, and Will has the big 80-inch screen TV and his iPad out, and he's just breaking down scrums and just going, half of it goes in one ear and out the other for all of us. But a few of us are just sitting back watching this going, mate, this is unbelievable. The passion for it. For a 20, I think he's 20, maybe 21, for a 20-year-old kid, he's unbelievable. And he's on the field, he's popping fellas that are twice his age, double his size, and he's freaking good at it. And Tommy's unreal. I love Tommy. We have a good relationship. We worked hard. We worked really hard in the preseason together, and he started the year, and then I came in, and now we're working together a lot to make each other better. And I'll ask him questions, he asks me questions about certain parts of the game, and I've asked him about his kicking, because his kicking game is unbelievable. The fella can kick off both feet. It's not something you come across very often. So my kicking's not my strong point. So I've gone up to him and asked him a fair bit, and we've got a good relationship, me and Tommy. It's good.
I think, in fairness to you, you scored a try off your own kick last weekend, so you've got to take a bow at that point too. This weekend, we've got Dave Telfer coming up, who I spoke to earlier in the week. He's saying he's looking forward to one more visit to TG Millner. What's been said within the group about the occasion, given everything that happened towards the end of last year and the exodus of some of those players as well?
Honestly, obviously everyone knows how intense the battle's going to be, but we very much tried to keep it. That's going to be there. There's nothing. We shouldn't be focusing on that, and we should focus on us and how we perform as a team. Gordon's a really good team. Their attack's unbelievable. So we're very much in the realm of let's focus on how we can put our best best efforts out on the field and how we can, hopefully come away with a win at this game. And all the outside noise, once you're on the field, it doesn't really matter.
Looking at some of the Eastwood sides of the past, and there's a lot of names here. You look at Perrotts, the Afualas, the Kovaciches, the Barrys. It's a similar style and identity and similar grit that you talked about. You've seen both generations. You've got a foot in both camps. How does the young generation compare to the old, and can they match it?
That's a good question. I think they can. I was very fortunate to come into that team in 2015 and be surrounded by some really experienced and some unbelievable players. So I was very much a young shy kid. So I don't think I fully realised how special the team that I'd come into was. But now, being older and being around the traps a little bit and playing a lot more footy, you look around the group and you go, this is a special bunch of boys that it's like that. It's not often that there's 15 boys out there on the field that would do anything for the bloke inside and outside them. And it was like that in 2015 and it's like that now. So it's a really exciting time for Eastwood.
It's exciting hearing you talk about it. Good luck this weekend. Congrats as well, as we mentioned, on what you've achieved in the past little while. It's been great to watch your emergence through the Shute Shield and then with the Aussie Sevens and then the Paris Olympics. And good luck this weekend through the rest of the season. And as always, when we chat to anyone from Eastwood, pass on our best to Dylan Nelson. We're big fans.
I'll let him know. He's
Thanks,
everyone's favourite, isn't he? Cheers, guys.
He's great.
Thank you.
Good luck this weekend. Thanks,
Thank you
mate.
very much.
Thanks, mate.
See you, lads.
Well, Gordon heading to Eastwood for the match of the round on 9 Gem and 9 now, 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon. One of the final remaining games at TG Millner, and joining us to chat all things Gordon and this clash with Eastwood is Gordon head coach Dave Telfer. Dave, thanks so much for your time. How are you?
Thanks for having us. I've been watching all the episodes so far this season, so was waiting for my invite, to be honest.
Well, it's great to have you on. We've loved getting an insight from a few of the head coaches, certainly as they take their sides away to the hosting club for the match of the round. This one has a little bit more intrigue, we must say, with you returning to Eastwood. How are you feeling ahead of this Saturday?
Yeah, to be honest, it hasn't really hit yet. It'll hit tomorrow when Friday's my quietest day, so I'll start thinking about what I'm going to do Saturday morning and start thinking about that process. But to be honest, I'd 5 great years at Eastwood, and it will be something special for me to be able to go there one final time, if it is the final time.
And what do you think Saturday will look like for you from a timings perspective, a setup perspective? Have you? I know you're saying it hasn't sunk in yet, but have you thought about that?
Yeah, my usual Saturday routines will stay the same, so it will be just have a quick gym session beforehand, and then I'll get up to TG Millner around 7:30 a.m. 4th grade's on the top field against East 5th grade, and Colts 2 are playing on the main field, so I'll be there for that first fixture. I just can't stay at home on a Saturday morning. I just get too restless, so I need to be out of the house.
Look, Telf, you pride yourself on running a phenomenal Colts program. You've done that at Gordon, you've done that at Eastwood. A lot of the players that have progressed through from Eastwood Colts have followed you across to Gordon. Tell us a little bit about the importance of a Colts program, as being a fundamental, foundation, for a club.
Yeah, I think it's the most sustainable model to get long-term success, to be completely honest, because the players come through, they learn to understand about the club, learn to get a genuine connection with the club if they didn't already have that through the juniors. And I think that's one of the main things at Gordon is we have one of the best junior programs with our Director of Rugby and Pathways, Josh Mitchell, who's done some outstanding work. And to continue that through, I think that's the main thing. You can't just get the sugar hit every year and buy a team in up top. That's not going to get long-term success. So that's why I'm a big believer in having a strong Colts program.
I mean, if you look at the starting Gordon side, it's the elephant in the room. There's 4 starting players that have followed you across from Eastwood. They're big players. They have a big presence. They're big personalities as well. It's hard not to acknowledge the emotion that's going to be out there on the field at TG Millner, not just for you, but those players as well. I know it's July 4th on Saturday? Will there be some fireworks?
I think it's not too dissimilar to our game against East, where that was second versus third. This is third versus fourth. Winner will be in third place after the weekend. So I think that's the biggest narrative this week, is the fact that we're playing for third spot.
I think looking at that result with Eastern Suburbs, where you guys were very much in the game. Talking to Matty Callahan, he mentioned that had the line out probably not been the way that it had been, obviously losing your hooker in the second minute wasn't ideal. A head clash as well. Did you take some confidence out of that fixture versus Eastern Suburbs, knowing you can go toe to toe, with the best?
Yeah, we took a lot away from that game. East threw us different pitches defensively. Like, they really did take it to us physically, particularly in that first half. But the pleasing thing is we adjusted and we put ourselves in a situation to really win that game. We weren't good enough. East showed why they're one of the top two teams in the competition and premiers from 2024. So, it shows where we need to get to be playing deep in a finals footy.
A couple of changes as well for you guys this week. Cam Wood in the second row, Holland in the back row, and Barry Correa. Are these sort of selection changes or injuries, or what's the basis behind those three changes?
Yeah, Tommy Horan was on the other end of that Jaden Henderson head clash. So he missed last week, but he's back in. He's part of our leadership group, so keen to get him back on board. Bringing in Ben Pollock to start, we're just trying that out. And Jack Hardy was one of the form centres at inside centre last year, so we're just trying out that combination heading into Eastwood this weekend.
Eastwood have a very physical pack. It's not dissimilar to the way Gordon likes to play. They've also got some electricity in the backline too. What do you think you need to do early and from a real fundamentals perspective to get on top against Eastwood this weekend?
Yeah, no, the Eastwood's playing some good footy. Like, they're a good side. It's a little bit pleasing to see so many of them progress into playing some good footy. Like I am, despite not being at Eastwood anymore. It's pretty cool seeing them play pretty well, because a lot of them obviously I've got relationships with. From our end, it is about making sure we understand that it is going to be an emotional game. It is going to be physical, and Eastwood's a side that doesn't go away. So we know that they've shown that week to week. But if we focus on what we can control and we nail our roles, I'm confident we'll get the result.
From a Gordon perspective too, what sort of style do you want people to know when they watch Gordon? What should they be expecting? And who's stood out for you this year with the way they've really picked things up and run with them?
I think there is, I think a lot of the teams I've coached are pretty attacking, to be honest. I think that's one thing I've just got to make sure we're building that attitude around loving defence as well. But from my end, as a coach, I want my players to feel like they can make a decision out on field and not have that weight down on them where they're worried about making a decision, because the worst decision is indecision. And from my end, I want them to be able to play with freedom. And I think that's been pretty clear in terms of some of we've got Ollie Arcus topping the try scoring count, I think with 13 tries. Harry Schnook's going pretty well. Fly half now is really turning into a genuine first grader at Shute Shield level. His partnership with Lockie Albert's really solid. And yeah, I think me seeing a lot of our back three players and back scoring tries, that's what I want to see.
I think when we spoke, a lot in 2023 when you were coaching Eastwood Colts program, you had an identity around how you wanted to play, and that was about breaking the glass ceiling with Eastwood's, static kind of play. And we've seen that certainly from the way Gordon play, right? It's East-West rugby. It's exciting to watch. Talking to Rodney Iona, a few weeks ago on the podcast, he talked about the most exciting 10 that he's seen in the competition. Granted, there are a lot of really good 10s, was Harry Snook. Tell us a little bit about his development as a player and what his potential is.
Yeah, I've known Snooky since he was 17. So I saw him at a Aces game against ISA 3s on a cold, wet day out at St. Pius. and I saw him play as a young 17-year-old and brought him into Gordon Colts in 2020. And he played a few games as a 17-year-old. He was playing first grade for the Tamworth Magpies as a 17-year-old. And
the Magpies.
And then he came across to Eastwood, played a couple of years of first Colts, got some first grade exposure, but he's truly coming into his own. And I think from my end, he has a really high ceiling, which is what I noticed when he was a 17-year-old. Like, he's got all the attributes to push into it. I just hope he gets an opportunity should his form continue.
We can't wait to see this Saturday's clash. Where should we be looking for you? Everyone's going to be sort of casting their eye up into that grandstand. Have you got a spot picked out? What are you going to, if you're there so early as well, you're just going to take a space and dominate in that grandstand? What are we looking for?
I think it's got to be the balcony of the RSL. Like, cheekily, some of the Eastwood supporters have said they'll reserve a spot for me in the John Haynes Lounge inside the RSL, but I think I'll just do my usual. Obviously, I've got to head into the away change rooms this weekend, which I'm not used to them. But, yeah, I'll be around that balcony kind of area, I imagine, in the nice sun. That's pretty
and one last combination omelette and honey chicken for the CFMEU and those developers have their way and tear down the old girl.
It's well, if the Chinese restaurant's there, I'll definitely be getting into that. But I've heard through a few people that it's burgers now or it's not open. So I'll confirm after Saturday.
The eighth wonder of the world.
Good luck with that decision, obviously, in terms of the cuisine. But more importantly, enjoy the occasion. Good luck with Gordon, not just this weekend, but the rest of the season. We've loved watching them play so far and can't wait to do that heading towards the finals campaign. And thanks so much for your time.
No, appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Love it.
Well, we've heard from two of the stars of this encounter, Gordon's coach, Dave Telfer, and Eastwood scrum half, Matt Gonzalez. Coolo, a match of the round, 9GM9 now, 3 o'clock on a huge day of rugby. It continues after the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shed with Test Match Rugby and then the Wallabies in Ireland. But it all starts 3 o'clock at TG Millner. Another opportunity for people to get out and see the Woods at TG Millner. How do you see this encounter?
Oh, speaking of Dave Telfer, keeping it very cool, but there's no love lost between these two clubs, particularly with how things have ended. 4 starting players, in the Gordon lineup that are ex-Eastwood players, particularly Lockie Albert and Harry Snook and Cole Spinks, and then Kelly as well in the forward pack. Devon Stoltz isn't part of that list. He's not in the side. There's another 5 or 6 players that have left Eastwood and come across to Gordon and followed Dave Telfer as well. So, look, it is July 4th. There'll be plenty of fireworks here at TG Millner, not just across the Pacific Ocean as well. Look, this is 2 sides that really need a win. I think particularly in that real grind arm wrestle component of the season at the moment. Look at Eastwood last week, come off a gritty win versus South. We're up 26-0, at one stage, I think, at half time. And then, I think it was 21 points scored by South in the last, 10 minutes. This Eastwood side is full of grit, it's full of guts, but, we've seen like 5 of their 8 players go 80 minutes pretty much for 10 rounds, and that's going to wear thin. I think this game's going to really come down to the ability of the bench in that final 10 minutes. And, I think Eastwood have struggled to score points in the final 10, 15 minutes because they're so heavy-legged and they don't have the depth of that bench, and they leak points because they're tired. Gordon, I think, on the other hand, will have a couple of changes there. Hugh Margin comes in for Cam Wood, and then Barry Carrera has been dropped second grade with Jack Hardy coming in. He's the informed player. We saw 2 brilliant tries when he was on limited minutes versus Eastern Suburbs there a couple of rounds ago. Ben Pollock started at 13. He's a veteran at this level. I think it's going to be really, really close, probably in the first 50 minutes, very spicy in the first 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. But I think Gordon will be too good. They'll come home with a wet sail and be too strong. It'll be an emotional day. It's going to be a really physical day. And it's going to be a great day. But I think, unfortunately, Eastwood, credit themselves. They really are punching above their weight. But it's just so hard to go week in, week out, 80 minutes in that tight 5. And I think they'll probably struggle to go with Gordon for the whole 80 minutes. But it's going to be a great day nevertheless. Cool.
Going to be a great day, isn't it? Looking forward to that one. Also looking forward to seeing Hunter Wildfires at home again. They host Eastern Suburbs. No John Porch for Hunter. Eric Storty starts at fullback from America. They've got weapons. Logan Love, Moses Jones have formed a great combination. Cullen Gray at 12. Vinny Vahi was enormous last week. Phil Taylor-Lave is great. They're going to need to be near perfect, Hunter Wildfires. In fact, they are. They're going to need to be perfect, aren't they? Eastern Suburbs are going to need to be a little bit off. They are on the road. They head up to Newcastle. It's very settled. Eastern Suburbs lineup. You mentioned Tom Girl earlier in the show with his starting debut. He plays again with Josh Boxer in the second row. Harris, Adamson, Hocker, Fono in the back row. Terrific. Wilson, Bowen, then Grigg and Serpentine in the centres. Sid Harvey at the back. It is a star-studded Eastern Suburbs lineup. But Hunter at home, they are definitely in with a chance, the way that they've been playing and pushing sides, but they're going to need to have a lot go their way against Eastern Suburbs. Excuse me. North versus Warringah, North Sydney Oval. This is a cracker as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a really exciting fixture between these two sides. Northern Suburbs on the cusp, of that top six. A big scalp last week versus University, 40-31. Warringah Rats, where they should be top of the table. A scrappy, gutsy win, versus Hunter. Pretty much an unchanged side versus Northern Suburbs. It's Seamus Smith is out with Michael McDonald in, arguably their strongest side of the season, and with depth as well off the bench. Apollosi Runaway, who'll come on and bring fresh legs as well. Hooper's starting to play his best rugby. Sifra Moni's really coming to his own. Brady Dawson as well. I thought James Margan last week was, his absolute best. And the line-out particularly is really humming. But it really is all about Max Bury. We talked about a game in round 4 versus Randwick, but Max Bury is worth probably 30 points. That's the impact that he has on this side. Warringah Rats, a lot of changes. Pogita has come in for Whitman. Charlie McGill is in as well. Sorry, Charlie McGill's coming for Barnabas. And then also as well, Hudson Crichton comes in for his first game for Warringah, which is an exciting in too. And Glenn Vaihu has moved on as well, obviously representing Samoa in the Pacific Nations Cup with Ben Mark starting at fullback. Sebastian Zardiz, starting at 10, has been named. I texted Josh Holmes about a few of these changes and didn't get a response. So I wonder how much alignment there will be between this side that is listed and then what actually plays on Saturday. I think as well, something that probably needs to be acknowledged is Warringah's record against Drew Tonks. It's something which certainly the Warringah Rats back row has struggled with his interpretation of the breakdown. Josh Holmes, I think, has struggled with that as well. North Sydney Oval, Drew Tonks, a very different Warringah Rat side, almost unchanged North side. I think this is going to be a really, really close game, and it's going to be a really accurate assessment of where Warringah are standing in this season. If they can get this done, then they are well and truly grand final defending premiers, and they're with a chance. But I think this is a real challenge for them.
You can't say versus Drew Tonks either. I know what you mean in terms of adjusting to that style as we go. But we love Drew. One of the best referees in the competition, no doubt about that. More than 100 games as well. The Two Blues hosting West Harbour Pirates. Fascinating battle out west. The Two Blues were great on the weekend. West Harbour have been really lifting. You mentioned Pete Samu's impact. Can't wait to see him play at Eric Tweedale. He offers so much. Starting with the Pirates, the away side, the front row starting to look settled and strong. McDonald, Wern, Olcock, Samu, Sellers, Hannaford, Whelan, Tafui, Makula. There are some genuine players in this West Harbour side, and if they can keep rolling the way they did against Manly, they're going to push the Two Blues the whole way, and the Two Blues are going to have to beat them. Really settled now from the Two Blues perspective as well. They lifted without Yona last week. Can't wait to see Titamaki, and if he can grab this game by the scruff of the neck. Really interesting battle. The Two Blues definitely favourites. Fabian Goodall formed a great partnership with Tetamaki. They were very direct early last weekend as well. So they'll build on that this weekend. It'll be a great clash. It's physical, lots of good skill as well. But the Two Blues go in as favourites, as mentioned. So, Kulo, Uni Manly, the great fixtures, they just continue.
It's a really tight game, when these two sides play against each other at University Oval. It was Manly sort of coming of age. It was a massive gritty win for them after a tough battle of the beaches. It was round 3, the game was. 10v6 now, different teams, different faces, different personalities. 3 changes in for the Manly side at home. Tiffin, who I thought was brilliant last week versus West Harbour, is out. Testazo comes in. Joe Dillon's back in for Favour. Dillon was ruled out late last week, but he's back in this week. And Drua is out, presumably with the Fijian side. And Ollie Horn comes in at 15. University, 4 changes. Fainga is out with Declan Moore in. Joe Mangelsdorf is back in starting side with Durbridge out. Ollie Schmood is back in with Sharples. That's 3 just flip-flop changes from the week before. So the indecisiveness there from the coaches is interesting. It's interesting. There weren't injuries. It's the fact that change is made says something about perhaps inconsistency or form. And then Tom Morrison has come in the starting side with Eddie Pullman out. Look, University to win here. It's plain and simple. They have the players. They have the talent. There's fresh faces, but they have the cattle. They should be really delivering, particularly against Manly that are ranked 10th. We've seen them, as we said, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Huge win versus Eastern Suburbs, a gutsy win versus Gordon there on that Saturday night. And then we've seen the loss versus Eastwood and that loss versus North. So this is their line in the sand moment for this University side. For John Manenti, there's been a lot of talk about the recruitment that he's done and the players he's brought in. This is a side that should win this game against Manly, and it's whether or not the cohesion is at a length and the identity is at a length where they can dig in and get it done. Really excited to see the battle between Joe Dillon and Joey Fowler at 10. That's going to be really exciting. And Billy Dickens versus Ollie Schmood. Billy Dickens is East Colts player, Ollie Schmood's University player. These are combinations and people that know each other. It's going to be spicy. There'll be fireworks, obviously, at TG Millner, but perhaps also as well at Manly Oval.
Randwick versus Southern Districts, the last of the fixtures in round 12 of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. And we've seen Randwick respond after somewhat lopsided results. So Southern Districts head to Coogee Oval on maybe a bit of a tough day to be taking on Randwick. Two Moana Pawada starts, no Jack Barrett, a couple of changes. Gage Phillips is in. Tim Sipple starts at 9. They do just have great quality coming back as well. Johnny Chan partners Tristan Riley in the centres, Matthias Jensen on the wing. The back row battle is going to be an important one for Southern Districts. Mason Duke, Tuinaka Vandra, Martin DeVergi as well. Cobb Willoughby takes on Randwick, starting for Southern Districts. Spent plenty of time with Randwick before coming back to Southern Districts. That south front row needs to be good too. Lewis Young's been great lately. Fuka provides great experience. Thomas Gibbs been really good too. Blaze Barnes is going to need to steer Souths around well on what should be a great day out at Coogee Oval weather-wise. And Ratamai Tavuki Nitkins at fullback needs to be ready to attack well. So Randwick going as favourites, but Souths have really been pushing sides. Their day's coming. Could be at Coogee Oval this weekend, but we wait to see. And Kulo, we've spoken about the great fixtures, the great clashes, the great players right across all of the sides. We can't wait. The match of the round is going to be a beauty, but plenty to look forward to. Yeah, absolutely. There's 3 red-hot games, across the competition. We happen to be at TG Millner, but keep an eye out on Manly Oval and North Sydney Oval. I think there's going to be an upset or 2. So much great rugby to come in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield, but also with all of the other competitions too. We look forward to next week. On the shootout as well, Phil Ward to join us. Enjoy this weekend.